You're locked into DodorVibe FM from Little Haiti to the world. And right now, it's time to dive in. This is DodorVibe Deep Dive, your rundown of the top stories that mattered this week, from Haiti to the US, Port-au-Prince to Paris, and across the Caribbean diaspora. News, culture, and headlines that hit home. Whether you missed it or need a recap, we've got you. This is DodorVibe Deep Dive, and it starts right now. Let's go. May 26th to June 3rd, 2025.
Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
So today we're diving into some sources you've shared, all focusing on, well, the really intense situation in Haiti right now.
That's right. We're looking at the security crisis, but also how that connects to immigration and what the Haitian diaspora is doing.
We've got news reports, some analysis from folks on the ground, diaspora voices, kind of a mix.
Yeah, the idea is really just to give you a quick, solid understanding of these critical, interconnected issues.
So our mission for this deep dive: unpack the key facts from these sources, look at the different angles they present, and try to see what it all means, in the bigger picture.
Okay, let's get into it, starting with the security situation, which the sources describe as, frankly, on the brink.
Yeah, the descriptions are pretty stark. We're seeing reports saying gangs control something like 85% of Port-au-Prince, maybe even more.
At least 85%, yeah. And they're expanding, moving into central regions, too. It's not just the capital anymore.
And the human cost. It's just devastating. The statistics cited are, they're hard to wrap your head around.
Over 5,600 people killed last year alone, across the country.
And it's accelerating, right? More than 1,600 killed just between January and March this year.
That's what the sources indicate, yeah. A terrifying start to the year. And this violence, it's forcing people out.
Massive displacement. The numbers suggest over 1 million people homeless, fleeing the violence.
Exactly. And you have Haitian officials quoted saying the country is literally on the brink of being fully controlled by criminal gangs. Really strong language.
So why can't the state push back effectively? What do the sources say about Haiti's own forces?
Well, they point to some major weaknesses. The Haitian National Police, for instance, are severely understaffed.
I saw that figure. 1 officer for every 12,000 residents.
Yeah, just think about that ratio. And on top of that, they lack, basic intelligence, counterintelligence capabilities needed for this kind of fight.
And the army?
The military is described as very small, maybe 1,000 members, limited training. One source called it embryonic.
Embryonic. So just not ready for this kind of urban warfare situation.
Pretty much unprepared, yeah.
Oh.
Which leads to the international response. And that seems to be struggling too, according to these reports.
The UN-backed mission, the one led by Kenyan police.
That's the one. Facing big hurdles. Funding is an issue, but also personnel. They only have about 1,000 officers there.
When the plan was for, 2,500?
Exactly. So significantly under strength. And operating at maybe 30% equipment capacity, it's not ideal.
There was that really disturbing example in the sources, the church attack in Artibonite.
Oh, yeah. Horrific incident. Preval, I think it was. Gunman attack during a service, 22 people killed, including the pastor who was beheaded. He was 86.
And the most chilling part reported was that people inside called for help.
And allegedly, neither the Haitian police nor the Kenyan-led mission responded in time. It really highlights the gaps.
Which is probably why you see figures like Barbara Feinstein from the U.S. State Department and Senator Rubio putting pressure on.
Right, at that OAS meeting. Feinstein saying much more can and should be done. Rubio questioning if the OAS can even handle this, calling for a regional fix.
But changing the UN mission to a full peacekeeping operation, that hasn't gained traction at the Security Council, the sources note.
No, seems not. Meanwhile, the gangs, they're not exactly sitting quietly.
No, they mentioned Jimmy Barbecue Cherizier, that powerful gang leader. There was even video of him basically demanding passage to overthrow the government.
And you have to remember his group, Viv and Sam, they were instrumental in forcing Prime Minister Ariel Henry out. They shut down the airport. They have real power.
And where does that power come from? The sources seem pretty clear on what Haitian officials believe.
Weapons smuggling, consistently pointed to as the fuel. And a lot of those weapons, officials say, are traced back to the U.S.
Okay, so state forces are struggling, the international mission is struggling, which brings us to this next part, which is really fascinating and controversial. Erik Prince.
Yes, Erik Prince. Founder of Blackwater, a name that carried a lot of baggage, obviously.
The 2007 Baghdad massacre, the pardons. He's certainly a known and often controversial figure in private military circles.
And now, The sources report he has a contract with Haiti's transitional government.
To do what, specifically?
The stated goal is to suppress the gangs.
How? What's the plan described?
It involves recruiting Haitian American veterans, other mercenaries, maybe from Latin America, aiming for about 150 foreign fighters.
And bringing in assets, helicopters, weapons?
Helicopters, weapons, shipments, yeah. And drone assaults. Apparently, drones have already been operating since March, according to these reports.
Wow. Okay, so this is happening, and predictably, it's raising alarms.
Big time. People like Rodney Joseph, he's a U.S. Army veteran quoted in the sources, he's raising serious concerns.
About sovereignty, I imagine. Foreign private forces on Haitian soil.
Sovereignty, yes, but also accountability, or the lack thereof. Prince doesn't answer to Congress, right? He's not part of a traditional military structure.
Joseph called it just another payday for Prince, didn't he?
He did. And he voiced worries about Prince maybe angling for a really long-term deal, like 20, 25 years.
Making Haiti his own home, potentially taking over security at ports, customs, critical infrastructure.
That's the concern, yeah. And Joseph argues, there's a different way.
A Haitian-led way.
Exactly. Using Haitian security contractors. He believes they have the technical skills and the crucial cultural understanding. He says U.S. help should just be logistics, maybe intelligence.
And it's not like Haiti doesn't have a history with private contractors. Some of it quite dark.
No, the sources definitely remind us of that, like their reported involvement in President Moïse's assassination back in 2021. It's a sensitive issue.
And this contract with Prince, has anyone actually seen it?
Doesn't seem like it, based on these sources. No public copy. But they did find something else interesting in U.S. records.
What's that?
A separate lobbying contract between Haiti's prime minister and a D.C. firm, Continental Strategy, $35,000 a month retainer.
Huh. So there's definitely official engagement happening on the U.S. side, lobbying at least, even if the details of the security deal itself are murky.
Exactly. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. From the security on the ground, let's look at the ripple effects abroad. Specifically, immigration, particularly in the U.S.
Right, because there was a big policy change recently that impacts Haitians directly. That Supreme Court ruling on May 30th.
Yeah, that was significant. The court basically allowed the Biden administration to end that humanitarian parole program.
The one from 2022-2023. For Venezuelans, Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans.
That's the one.
Yeah.
It had provided temporary legal status work permits, protection from deportation to a huge number of people. Over 532,000 is the figure cited.
And the Supreme Court decision overturned a lower court ruling that had kept the program going.
Correct. So the immediate consequence, which the sources highlight, is stark.
Those migrants are now at risk of deportation, back to the very situations they fled.
Exactly. And the sources make this really personal with the story of Flo. She benefited from this program, the CHNV program.
And she's terrified of going back to Haiti now.
Deeply terrified. She's quoted as saying, "Returning to Haiti is suicide. You never know what's going to happen to you."
Just heartbreaking. And it shows the impossible situation people are in. She didn't apply for asylum, maybe couldn't, and now she's thinking about trying to get to Canada.
Desperate options.
Ooh.
And her story really underscores how intertwined things are. The crisis in Haiti directly impacts lives thousands of miles away. And many people back home depend on remittances from people like Flo.
Which leads us nicely into the final angle from these sources, the role of the Haitian diaspora, their media, their community efforts.
Yeah, this is a really important piece. The sources introduce DodorVibe FM.
Described as a pioneering kind of network, radio, social media.
Yeah, really leveraging modern media. They just had this big event in Brooklyn back in May.
Breaking the invisible chains, media, diaspora, and the future of Haiti. That was the theme, right?
Right, and the goal wasn't just celebrating heritage, which is important, but really focusing on how Haitian and diaspora media can change perceptions, empower people, and actually help find solutions.
They used the phrase conclusive resolution, which sounds ambitious.
It does, but it shows the intent.
Yeah.
They see themselves not just as a broadcaster, but as a cultural movement, connecting, as they put it, Little Haiti to the world, giving a platform for real stories.
And they offer practical services too. Media production, podcasts, consulting.
All sorts of things. Media production, live streaming, design, event coverage. And crucially, in English, Haitian Creole, and French.
Which really shows the diaspora building capacity, creating resources across languages. It's impressive.
It really is. So when you pull all these threads together, what do we see?
Well, it's clear these aren't separate stories. The security collapse in Haiti, the controversial idea of bringing in private firms like Prince's, the immigration fallout in the U.S., the diaspora's activism, they're all linked.
Deeply interconnected. The violence drives migration. The state's weakness creates this vacuum that actors like Prince might step into, raising all sorts of questions about control and accountability.
And the diaspora, through things like DodorVibe and just sending money home, they're actively involved, providing information, support, advocating for change, both inside Haiti and for Haitians abroad facing uncertainty.
They're a critical part of this whole ecosystem. So why should this matter to you, the listener?
Because understanding a crisis like Haiti's means looking beyond just the headlines about gang violence. You have to see the underlying issues.
Different responses or lack thereof from governments, international groups, private companies, the community itself. And you have to see the human stories, like flows, caught in the middle.
It really throws into relief these huge questions about sovereignty, about intervention, what kind is acceptable, who decides, and the real growing power of communities abroad to shape what happens back home.
Definitely a lot to unpack there. We've covered significant ground, drawing from all those sources you shared.
Yeah, we touched on the really severe security crisis, the whole debate around private military intervention, the impact of that U.S. immigration ruling, and the really vibrant role of diaspora media.
And it's clear the sources don't offer easy answers. Lots of different viewpoints on the best way forward, or even just a way forward.
So maybe a final thought for you to chew on based on all this. Given the clear struggles of traditional state responses, the international missions, everything we've seen in these sources, how might this turn towards private security firms, not controversial as it is, combined with the growing power and organization of the diaspora? How might those two forces fundamentally reshape what's possible, or maybe what the dangers are for countries like Haiti facing these kinds of complex, overlapping crises in the future?
That's a heavy question to end on. Something to definitely think about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
And that's your deep dive. The headlines, the stories, the voices that matter, brought to you by DodorVibe FM. Catch us every week for a recap of the news that moves our people, our culture, and our world. Missed part of the show? No stress. Replays continue all week and are always on DodorVibe.com and on our socials at DodorVibe. Until next time, stay sharp, stay loud, and stay connected. This has been DodorVibe Deep Dive, from Little Haiti to the world.